Hello everybody, Emily from Rose in the East. So we're gonna try and show you how we do homeschooling today. Today is maths and English, and we use the sheets that have been provided to us by the school. So it's not true homeschooling or home education. This is what I would call schooling at home, because you're still following the school curriculum, you're using the work that the school provides for you so that the teachers can monitor your progress and make sure that everybody's at the same level. So, Abigail's kindly going to show us how she accesses her work through her laptop. Morning, Abigail. Dad, you look like a gamer with those headphones on. Alright, so this is my old laptop, so let's show everybody what you do, Abigail. So the children have all been given a special Google account which is linked to the school. It is managed and maintained by the school. That's very pretty. So what she has to do is she has to log in as her...
this little circle.
Yeah.
And I've already got mine up and running.
Where is it? There we go. So she's already got this all set up. So she has her accounts down there. So she clicks in to get access to her version of the school's Google Drive. So I hope you guys can see this okay. Oh, you got big screen on. Press F11.
So you click these lines.
Yeah. So go into Google Drive.
You go on Drive.
So once she's in Google Drive, she goes to the shared drives.
Double click here.
And she clicks into the Year 3 folder. Now, just to be clear, for security reasons, we're not showing anybody else's folders, are we? Right, because we don't want to give anybody else's information or details out. So there's a reason why I'm not showing you the full screen. So she gets into her shared drive, in which the only file year that she has access to is Year 3. So she goes into Year 3, which is her year. Connie only has access to Year 6. Joshua only has access to Year 5. So they don't have access to work they shouldn't be doing. So once she's in Year 3, she then has to find the individual folders, which is here. So you can see that what they've done is they've done a folder for English learning, a folder for general documents which just explains how to use the Google Drive, a maths learning folder which we'll show you. We added some time capsule sheets for in case anybody else in the class wanted to do a time capsule of the lockdown, which we can show you in another video. And then topic learning is the geography topic for this half term. And then every now and then the teacher does a little video to just say hello to the class and let everybody know that she is there and she is watching you guys. So Google Drive is quite complicated in that you can very easily override each other's work. It automatically saves. It's one of the... I consider it a pro for working off of Google Docs. Other people consider it a con because you override your work very easily. So it's very important that when we first get in here, isn't it, Abigail, that we make a copy of all of the work and put it into your individual folder so that nobody else is going to rewrite over your work, right? So that's what we've done. So we don't go into these individual English folders or maths folders or topic learning folders.
Quick access.
We don't touch any of the quick access because that is any file from any folder, including other people's work. So there's stuff from Avery and Taylor in there. So she has to go to her individual folder. And being an Abigail, you're right at the top, aren't you?
Yeah.
All right. Then I have laid these out this way, so I can show you all this sort of stuff. So Spring 2 was last half term. We're now in Summer 1 half term. So we've got these learning logs. So you can do a learning log every day, or like we do a learning log at the end of the week. So we have a bit more information to put on there. So go into your Summer 1 and we'll show people what's in there.
So right now I've got my English work and I've got fractions. That's maths. I've also got money for my maths I've got week 1 photos because we take photos while we're working.
Yeah. So for the teachers to better understand what it is that we're doing, and sometimes in our learning logs it's hard to explain what we've done in words, I take pictures all the time. So last week was week 1 of this new summer half term, so I've put week 1 photos and all the pictures from last week are in there. This week I'll do a week 2 photos and so on until week 6, which will be the end of the half term. Do you want to just click in the photos one so we can show people what we did? Can you click that tab button up there?
This one?
Yeah.
So
you can see...
So this one is that I've made a little church.
So this was the creative stuff that we were just doing.
Creative building work.
Yeah. So you can see if you scroll up and down. There we go. I include photos of us going out for walks. She did some artwork off her own back. I showed that they were doing some reading. And then here I'm just showing that she started her topic geography work. Here I showed that she was being moody because she didn't want to do her English. Here we take pictures of the finished products. And then we also scan those finished products in and put them in the relevant English, maths or topic folders. So if you go back into summer 1, go into English work. Oh, so it doesn't show the pictures. Oh, there we go. So you can see we scanned in, I don't know if this will show up very well on the camera, but we scanned in the documents, oops, and we saved them into those files. So that's a really quick outline of what we do. If you click back in there. So today's maths and English, so she's going to do some more English work for this week, but let's just have a look at either fractions or money and show them what you do. So go back to, put this back in list mode. Okay. So you can see every time she's finished a maths sheet, we just rename it as done so we can keep track of what we're doing. So she clicks into there, it opens like PowerPoint, but it's the Google Drive version.
They don't come
So
with
the teachers provide all of these slides, and the children just have to put in a text box and then put their answers in as best they can.
Or do shapes.
Or shapes, or whatever it is that they've asked them to do. So here she's been asked to shade half of the bar, so she's learning about fractions. Can we have a look at some other questions before you start doing the work? There we go, so shade 3, 6. Lots of shading work you've got to do today. Keep going. So this she's got to do, go back up to the previous one. So she's learning how to make equivalent fractions. So that's one of the questions on there. So you get the idea. So as she's working, she puts in all of her boxes, she writes in her answers, and this thing will save automatically, which is why you can understand if you're opening the master copy and it automatically saves all your answers, the next person that opens the master copy gets all your answers. So it's really important to copy the blanks into your individual folders as soon as you can before anybody starts making that mistake, which we have done in the past. So now we make sure that we get in there quick and get all the copies. So then they should all be blank, because nobody should be going into Abigail's individual folders to find their worksheets. So now Abigail has just learnt. This is great because not only is she actually learning maths, but she's learning computer skills, because she's also having to learn how to work this program. And although it is Google Slides, it is very similar to Microsoft PowerPoint, so she's learning the two at the same time, really. So there we go. So that is the crux of home learning for us at the moment. So that shows the maths slides. The English and the topic stuff is very, very similar, although they don't do the work on a slide that then just gets saved and the teachers can access. So the teachers at the school have full access to all of these slides and any note work that we put into the folders individually. So they monitor the children's work through that. And then what they do is at the end of the week or at some point during the week, they will look at your learning logs, see the work you've done, tell you where you've gone wrong, just like you would in a class. It's feedback on your learning. So I try to interfere as little as possible with their maths work, because other than doing the initial learning, like this is how you do it, now go answer the questions. It's important for the teachers to see where the students are struggling. So if you are correcting their work at home, that's fine, but you must tell the teacher what it is that you've been correcting, so the teacher understands what the children are struggling with. So I try not to do too much correcting unless it's a really, really obvious dumb mistake and they do actually know the answer. So that when the teacher looks at the work, she can give honest feedback on their learning abilities, and she gets a better idea of what they can and can't do. English is much the same, except that the only thing they do on the laptop is watch a short video of a particular story, and then Connie and Josh are asked to write a newspaper article about said story. And I can show you that a bit later on when we come up to the English topics. So there we go. So that's maths for this morning.
So he says he tries to.
Okay, so the maths is done. That's probably taken, I don't know, maybe an hour. We did maths for an hour, would you say?
A little bit less.
A little bit less than that. Maybe it feels longer. Constance had 2 lots of maths to do because she didn't do her maths on Monday. She was going through some stuff, and as you know, we did the drive to go and see her friend instead. So she has had to catch up on all the work for this week, so she's taken a bit longer on her maths. But now we're doing English, so...
Guys, look how many seeds.
Loads of seeds. So it's always good to have a break between subjects. So we gave the kids a 20-minute break after maths. They got a snack, they had a drink, they got up off the table, they walked around. Joshua, I think, went and laid down on the sofa.
I had pins and needles.
Abigail had pins and needles.
Really
and she's
bad.
now...
I had double the pin because it was only in one foot.
Right.
So she has stuffed her face with watermelon.
Brilliant. This is great.
Joshua's had some biscuits. Connie's disappeared with some crisps. So we are now back onto English. So English is worked in more or less the same way as the maths does. You go into the English learning folders on the shared Google Drive from the school, and in there is a little video clip of a mini story that lasts about 2 minutes. So they have to watch the video, and each week they answer different questions, or they do a slightly different topic about that video. So that video is good for 6 weeks. So last week, what did you have to do last week? You had to describe the forest or something last week, wasn't it? This week she's looking at the intro to the video, and she's having to describe the sights and sounds that maybe she didn't hear on the video but that she would expect to hear in real life. So they send her pictures of the scene, they give examples of written text, and they provide an explanation for us parents of what they're expecting us to do with them.
I don't know that one.
They also provide, let me show you, I can't get the pages out. So they give a little table explaining what the children need to do. So,
something was wrong.
hold on, let's get that zoomed in. So we've got adjectives, verbs, and prepositional phrases. So the children need to think of these things that they're going to include into their little paragraph. So we need to make sure that they list certain words, list things that would come up in conversation. And all of those sheets of paper basically result to this page, which is where she has to write her paragraph using the vocabulary and the phrases provided for in this sheet. So really, all of that paperwork is for naught because she just needs this last page. But it's all a way of getting them to understand what is an adjective, what is a verb, what is a prepositional phrase.
And I see my work.
All for her to be able to then write a minimum of 2 sentences, maximum of 1 paragraph, explaining how the ripples on the lake were shining thanks to the moonlight that beamed down from above, and that the mountains loomed in the shadows through the trees of the forest.
Okay, you need to add your speech marks at the beginning.
All of which had a spooky appearance thanks to the crackling fire camp or campfire in the middle of the clearing in the forest next to the lake. There you go. So that's what we're going to do now. So Joshua, let me show you what Joshua's been up to.
Yeah.
So Joshua and Daddy over there, they're working on their almost missed shipwreck lighthouse story, aren't you?
Close encounter.
Close encounter, and Joshua's had to do a newspaper article. And what are you doing now, Josh?
I'm doing the questions and answers.
For an interview, aren't you?
Yeah.
So last week he did a lot of it by hand. This week we're letting him use the computer. So this is his newspaper, the COVID Gazette, and the story is the delight-fueled ending for Lighthouse Keeper.
Yeah.
So now he's typing out his Q's and A's, which will be part of his newspaper. Let me show you what he did last week. There's the handwritten story. So same as for Abigail, on his Google Drive from school, he has a video that he watches, and he has the same explanation bits of paperwork, the same resource sheets that the school provides, examples, and so on. That's how we work on the English. It's not how I would do it if I was homeschooling. I had a really good English resource when we were homeschooling last year called the Institute for Excellence in Writing. And it was a great way of getting the children to just read a story and get them to find the verbs and the adverbs in the story rather than write the story themselves and include those things into it. I found it a much better way of teaching them English grammar. But we are at school, we have to do it the way the school wants us to do it. So Abigail is going to now write out her paragraph about the lake and the moon and the fire and all that. Okay, so it's 12:30. Homeschooling is done. I hope this video helped you in some way. I know it's not going to be the same for everybody because your schools are going to be doing things a bit different. We eventually managed to get all the English work done. It wasn't easy. I think it took Abigail 3/4 of an hour to write 1 paragraph. She just didn't want to engage brain this morning. And as I've said before, I don't like this method of doing English. If your child is not naturally a creative writer, it's really hard to just pull out the vocabulary that you need to be able to say the moon was glistening on the surface of the rippling waters. It doesn't come naturally. And the way the school curriculum is currently set up, your child has to be able to come up with those words on their own and come up with creative ways of describing different situations and scenarios and locations and whatnot. And I think it's fine for some children, but for other children it's really, really hard. And we are a family that find this sort of learning really, really hard. That's why I really liked the method that I had for myself for our own homeschooling, which was the Institute of Excellence in Writing, which taught the children they already had the text there, and it taught them the grammar by making them find the words within the text. If you're interested in seeing how that worked, then I'm more than happy to do a video just on that, if you just leave a comment below. So yeah, the English is done, the maths is done. The maths was a lot easier this week than it was last week in terms of how the children did it. Last week we found the English easier, this week we found the English much harder. So yeah, tomorrow is topic work. So we do alternate days. So Mondays and Wednesdays is maths and English. Tuesdays and Thursdays is the topic work. And for the school at the moment, topic is geography. For this half term, sorry, it's geography, and so they're doing, well, Abigail's learning Europe, and the other two are learning the UK. So we'll do that tomorrow. And then Friday, we have made Friday a catch-up day for anything they weren't able to do before, and for any art projects or anything like that they want to do. It's their free day. They still have the learning time, so 10 till 3 is still learning time. There's no computer time during those hours, so they still have that rule, but they can do whatever they want in between. So I hope you found it helpful in some way. If you have any questions, just ask. We use a number of computer programs to assist in any learning that they do, like Conquer Maths, Prodigy for maths as well. For the younger children, like, I don't know, say up to 6 or 7, we used Reading Eggs and Math Seeds, which was really great. These programs, they do have charges on them, but we found it super, super helpful. So yeah, there we go. I hope it helped. I hope it wasn't too sporadic in explanations. It's quite hard to explain without actually physically having people looking at the screen. But yeah, there we go.
Okay.